Hello all. This past week was busy, even into the weekend, with reports of hundreds of companies compromised via sales loft drift. Microsoft being forced to reroute traffic stemming from several Red Sea cables being cut, Google dodging a bullet in court and also patching a couple of 0 days in Android, and Cloudflare having blocked the largest DDoS on record. And if that isn't enough, this coming Tuesday is Patch Tuesday, where Microsoft and a cadre of other vendors unleash their increasingly unstable fixes for defects in their products. As my friend Will says, fun times! This email and video commentary is from the RedDotSecurity.news website that contains a plethora of links to other items that aren't mentioned here that are worth skimming to see if they interest you or pertain to your particular environment or of those you support. There's a lot more than what's provided in these opening comments. So, on to the headline news. CISA warns of Android 0 Day. On September 1st, Google released updates to fix 120 vulnerabilities, with 2 of those being actively exploited 0 days. If you own a Google Pixel, then you should have already been presented with the update. Unfortunately for most of the Android ecosystem, updates are controlled by the device manufacturers or cellular carriers. A fortunate few will eventually see the security update offered, such as Samsung, Motorola, OnePlus, and a smattering of others. Sadly, the majority of Android-based phones will never see more than a few stability updates after release, such as this gorgeous Umidigi phone that I had to retire due to a lack of security updates. If you're like me and you have an Android phone that's not receiving security updates, now is the time to retire it and consider a brand that will receive those regular security updates throughout its useful life. Google antitrust ruling comes down mostly in Google's favor, with the US government not forcing them to sell Chrome. However, the ruling provides some bitter pill requirements that may prove very hard to swallow. Google must share their hard-won indexing data and user interaction information with other companies. This is akin to forcing Coca-Cola to publish their secret formula. In my opinion, this amounts to intellectual property theft. Google is evaluating the 230-page decision and may decide to appeal. Google Chrome version 140 came out this week with fixes for 6 known defects. If you use Chrome, update soon. Django is a Python-based system that helps developers rapidly create web applications by acting as a middleman between the web and the database. A critical vulnerability was recently discovered that requires patching. If you use this, patch quickly. Microsoft gives US students a free year of Microsoft 365 Personal. Now, on the surface, this looks like a phenomenal deal, providing desktop versions of Microsoft productivity suites of products to students. The unknown item is what happens after 1 year. By then, the student will be well immersed into the Microsoft ecosystem, making switching away to other options difficult. There are only 2 industries that call consumers users. They share a brilliant marketing strategy: offer the product for free until they're hooked, and then tell them they must pay. If this was truly benevolence for students from Microsoft, it would be free for their entire term as students. SalesLoft Drift is a chatbot that integrates with Salesforce and other back-end systems such as Google Workspace, Slack, and various cloud storage services. Drift's OAuth tokens were compromised by a threat actor designated as UNC6395, also Grub1. Since these OAuth connections were inherently trusted, Grub got access to anything the OAuth user at the connected organization could access. In many cases, it was Salesforce database information. Hundreds of companies had data stolen during the August 8th through 18th crime spree by Grub. The ones that we currently know about are BeyondTrust, Cato Networks, Cloudflare, CyberArk, Google, Palo Alto Networks, PagerDuty, Proofpoint, Salesforce, SpyCloud, Tanium, Tenable, and Zscaler. Depending on what was exfiltrated from the estimated 700 affected organizations, this supply chain breach could be the most significant to date, surpassing MoveIt, Snowflake, and SolarWinds. SAP critical vulnerabilities being exploited. Last month, SAP patched a 9.9 CVSS defect that enabled remote code injection bypassing authentication checks. In other words, a successful threat actor could fully compromise the system with minimal effort. And since active exploitation of the flaw is now underway, patch immediately. hackers reportedly demand Google fire 2 employees and threaten data leak. I'm not sure if I would consider it a backhanded compliment or outright terrorism to have a dirtbag hacker group demand that my employer fire me and cease any investigation of them. However, I believe that this actual naming of employees is a scary trend that will continue to increase as threat actors become more brazen and closer affiliated with the evil organized criminal organizations that have no qualms about carrying out physical harm to achieve their goals. The rules of the game are changing, and I suspect that a time may soon come where anonymity for the defenders will be required for them to be able to safely perform their jobs. CISA, NSA, and 19 international partners release shared vision of software bill of materials for cybersecurity guide. It's surprising that it's 2025 and we still don't have a decent SBOM or ingredients list for our various software and hardware systems. Our food and clothing has that ingredients list for quite some time. If you've been in the industry for a while, you'll recall having your Christmas vacation ruined by Log4Shell, a critical remote code execution vulnerability that was found in a Java library that was widely used in applications, devices, and cloud systems. You had to search to identify if your enterprise had a vulnerable version anywhere, since it was rare to see a list of included libraries in anything. It was no fun. If we'd had a comprehensive list of all included libraries and dependencies, our jobs would have been significantly simpler. Well, a coalition of international security agencies wants to make that happen. Quote, an SBOM is a formal record detailing the components and supply chain relationships used in building software. SBOMs act as a software ingredients list, providing organizations with essential visibility into software dependencies, enabling them to identify components, assess risks, and take proactive measures to mitigate vulnerabilities. End quote. I, for one, applaud this effort and hope it becomes reality quickly. Artificial intelligence is doing an admirable job automating many entry-level positions, resulting in great efficiencies for companies, which allows them to reduce staff that would have been doing those functions. However, there's a growing concern that we're not training up the next generation of mid-level and higher-level people. If you don't have a reliable system to bring on inexperienced people and train them through experiential learning, who will fill the positions of the higher-level people when they leave your company or invariably retire? AI may eventually catch up and achieve some level of actual creative thought by the time the great gray out happens, when the gray-haired and bearded people retire. But what if it doesn't? Keep the shields up.